Hello fellow Gateballers and welcome to our video today on Article 16, which is called Spark. Today's video is going to be the longest video of the series. It's going to be an absolute mammoth because we'll be going through basically everything there is to know about the spark, including sparking fouls and the stroker's actions on sparking. And I've made heaps of reference to the stroker's actions on sparking in past videos, and I said that I'd be mentioning them in a future video, and this is that video. This video is going to be one of the most imperative to your learning in relation to becoming a referee, because understanding all of the fouls in relation to sparking fouls, as well as understanding the core concepts or the 5 key steps of the stroker's actions on sparking will make up a huge part of refereeing, and also it will prove how well you are able to referee, or your ability to referee a game. So before we jump in, we'd just like to thank Gateball Australia for proudly supporting this channel, and likewise we would also like to make reference to the World Gateball Union for their use of, for our use of their figures and illustrations, as well as the game rules and guide for referees, which they publish. So we're going to jump straight into it today. Article 16, Spark. Radio. So we're going to make reference to this image in a little while, but actually, you know what? We'll go back to the title screen, and I'll just read out what a spark is. And dot point 1 says, sparking is when, after setting the balls, the stroker moves another ball by causing impact to his or her own ball. I'm sure that most of us know what a spark is and what it looks like, so I'm not going to describe it in depth here. But it's important to take note of the middle bit of that sentence there that says after setting the balls. Now, the word setting is used a lot in the game rules, and it's described in clause 2 of this Article 16, which is the actions on sparking. So I want you to remember the word setting the balls. Radio. And dot point 1 under that says that the stroker cannot refuse to spark. So in our one of our previous videos, which was stroking, I can't remember the article number, actually. I could probably find out here. The article number was article number 12, which was stroking. We made reference to the fact that the stroker cannot refuse to stroke his or her ball. Likewise, should the stroker gain the right to spark, they are not permitted to refuse sparking the balls. Moving on to dot point 2, which is setting the balls. Setting the balls, which as we discussed in the previous dot point there, says setting the balls refers to stepping on the stroker's own ball where the ball has stopped and placing a touched ball inside the inner field. Incredibly important that it says inside the inner field there. You can't place it outside, so that it is in contact with the stroker's ball. Now, there are a few exceptions to that little bit about in contact, and that's where this figure comes into play. Or figures, I should say. But what we refer to as setting is placing the other ball in contact with the stroker's ball under the stroker's foot, while both balls are in the inner field, or on the inner field, and then you perform the spark. Radio. Dot point 1 under that says, while setting the balls, even if the touched other ball is not in contact with the stroker's ball, as we can see here, so ball X is the stroker's ball, as it is in all our figures, or the World Gateball Union's figures, I should say. So ball X is the stroker's ball. We can see that there is a gap between the stroker's ball and the other ball, which is being sparked. And the rule says, even if there is a space between the two balls, but it is still possible to carry out a valid spark, it shall be deemed that the balls are set, which basically means that even though there's a gap that exists between these two balls here, the stroker's ball and the set other ball, this would not be considered a foul. And if a valid spark can be completed, the rules say that the situation is taken as if the balls are properly set, as if they were in contact. Number 2 dot point under that one, following on from that one, says, if the player steps on his or her ball and the touched other ball at the same time, the balls are set at the point at which they were stepped on. So this one has to do with the fact that you can actually, should ball X and ball Z stop right next to each other after a successful touch like this, they're not in contact, but they're adjacent to each other, and the stroker merely places his foot on both balls at the same time and then conducts a valid spark, that situation would mean that the balls were set. The rules are satisfied under that one there. I'll read it again just to make sure, and to reinforce that fact, sorry. And it says, if the player steps on his or her ball and the touched other ball at the same time, so the balls are adjacent and you've stepped on both balls at the same time, the balls are set at the point at which they were stepped on. So we didn't move it with our hand. We didn't move ball Z, that is, into a set position under our foot while only stepping on ball X, which is the stroker's ball. We just stepped on both of them at the same time because they were close together, and then we conducted a spark. That is perfectly fine. Now, this situation here is actually not mentioned in the rules, but I found it in the Q&A book, and I think it's really interesting because in this situation, very similar to this one, you can see in this situation, the stroker has placed his ball on both balls at the same time, the stroker's ball and the touched other ball. In this situation here, the stroker has only put his foot on his ball and the other ball is adjacent to it. The touched other ball is adjacent to it. Then he conducts a spark. This is actually a stroking foul because the foot must be on both of the balls, not just on the stroker's ball. And this stroking foul comes under the stroking foul relating to not conducting a spark when the stroker is entitled to spark the balls, surprisingly enough, because you think, the balls are close together, it's a very similar situation to this, but we need to make reference to the fact that it says steps on both the balls at the same time. So he's not, the stroker here is stepping on both. Here, they're only stepping on their stroker's ball, and this is a stroking foul. And the very last dot point there, dot point 3, says, all movements made by the sparked ball are valid except for invalid moves. That's just clearing up any peculiarities in relation to something in a few other rules, which honestly we're not going to refer to here. But it's just that all valid moves are valid by the sparked ball and all invalid moves are invalid, obviously. Moving along to clause 2, which is probably one of the most important bits that we're going to discuss today. Oh, actually, sorry. I will actually go back for a moment because I've just realized that I've also added this diagram here, which has to go back to that dot point 2, which is stepping on both balls. Now, a lot of players know that you're not allowed to place the touched other ball next to the stroker's ball in contact with it and then step on the balls, thereby stepping on them both at the same time, and then setting them and then sparking. That is a foul. But in the case here, the stroker has placed ball Z, which is the touched other ball, adjacent to the stroker's ball, which is ball X. Adjacent to, but not in contact with. And then he steps on both balls at the same time, with the gap between them, and conduct a valid spark. This is actually a valid maneuver, and a lot of people don't actually know that this is permitted. The key fact or point in this is that the balls were not placed in contact with each other. They were placed adjacent. Now, would I recommend you do this in a real game? Probably not. You don't really gain much by doing this, but we need to know that if someone does this, that if they are adjacent and then they step on them simultaneously, that is permitted under the rules. Moving on, before I describe the stroker's actions on sparking, I'm going to show you the stroker's actions on sparking in one full video. So we're going to watch the video first, then we're going to read the rule. Rightio, seemed pretty simple there. Well, basically, we've just gone through all of the stroker's actions on sparking and more because we included the touch and the continuous stroke. But we're going to read dot point 1 first, and it says, Stroker's actions on sparking refer to all actions after the point at which the balls inside the inner field come to a stop following a successful touch. Remembering what a successful touch is. To the point where the stroker steps off his or her own ball following a successful spark. The stroker's actions on sparking are as follows, and then we're going to go into that step by step. So, basically, as soon as a successful touch is made and the balls stop as in balls, the stroker's actions on sparking will begin. And they finish when the stroker removes his or her foot from his or her ball. Simple as that. Now we're going to go on the steps in between all of those things. And they were all in that video there. It might seem a little bit simple, but there are a lot of key steps. And we need to really understand these 5 key steps as depending on when should a sparking foul occur, depending on in between which one of these steps or before each one of these steps occurs will depend on the remedy we must apply in relation to that sparking foul. So we really need to get this one down pat. And it says, the order of the stroker's actions on sparking are as follows. Number 1, the stroker picks up the touched ball and steps on his or her ball to secure it. So we need to make this, we see the player making, or me really, making a successful touch. The balls have stopped as in balls. We pick up the touched other ball and we step on our ball to secure it. Step number 2 is the balls are set. We can see there that the touched other ball is placed in contact under the stroker's foot with the stroker's ball. The balls are now set. Step 3 is the stroker removes his or her hand from the set other ball. And we can see we've already done that because I removed my hand from the set other ball. Step number 4, the stroker hits his or her ball to move the other ball. Oops, I've gone back to the beginning there. So you can see that I stroke the stroker's ball there to force the touched other ball, which has been set, to move. And the last one is the stroker removes his or her foot from the stroker's ball. Now I'm just waiting there because the other ball is still moving, but it doesn't matter if It doesn't matter if the stroker pulls his foot away from the ball while the other ball is still moving. That's fine. I was just doing it out of habit because I like to wait till the ball stops moving. But the last action on sparking is that the stroker removes his or her ball from his or her foot from his or her ball. And that is the end of the stroker's actions on sparking. And once we've completed that, and we've completed the successful spark, we then get a continuous stroke. And as you can see here, I take the continuous stroke. It's as simple as that. Dot point 2 says, the following stroker's actions on sparking are proper plays. So the following 6 things are considered okay to do during those 5 steps. Remember, it's after the successful touch in which all the balls stop as in balls. They come to rest, in other words, or come to a stop as in balls, and up until the point at which the foot is removed. So all these things are okay to do. Number 1, picking up another ball that was touched after stepping on one's own ball. So in each case, I will read the rule, I'll play the video, and then we'll go through it. Rightio. So there we could see that we made a successful touch there. The ball stopped as in balls. Oh, we went back to the start there somehow. They both stopped as in balls. We stepped on our stroker's ball first. Then we picked up the touched other ball, set it under our foot, removed our hand from the touched other ball, hit our stroker's ball and the touched other ball moved, and then we removed our foot from our stroker's ball. That completed the actions on sparking. So that is considered okay. So picking up another ball that was touched while stepping on one's own ball. So I stepped on my stroker's ball first, then picked up the ball that I touched. That's perfectly fine. Moving on to number 2. Number 2 is replacing or twisting one's own foot while having stepped on one's own ball. So I'll just stop it there because we've already done what we needed to do there. And I'll read that rule again, and it's replacing or twisting one's own foot while having stepped on one's own ball. So we can see in this instance here, I stepped on my ball or on the stroker's ball here. But then I decided, no, I don't want to spark the 9 out over there. I want to do it on the second line. So I twist and rotate my body with my along with my foot while it is in contact with the stroker's ball, and my foot twists on top of it. And that is perfectly fine under the rules, and you are permitted to conduct the rest of your spark as normal, sparking the 9 out of bounds over there and into the outer field, and then playing the continuous stroke. Perfectly fine. Number 3, touching one's own ball while setting the balls. So we'll go through that one there. Make a successful touch, the balls stop, gain the right to spark. We step on the stroker's ball. Oops, sorry. I, for some reason, played the same video twice, but the same thing's going to happen. So I'll just skip a little bit forward, actually. So we make the successful touch. We gain the right to spark. We pick up the touched other ball. Oh, I've done it again. Good Lord. They don't call me tech savvy. I think I've actually maybe put the same video twice. But basically, I'll explain it like this. The point of this one is... Oh, actually, no, I have got a video. Apologies, everyone. So we'll go here. Ball 8 makes a successful touch on ball 9. They stop as in balls. You gain the right to spark. We place ball 9, and there it is. We place ball 9 next to ball 8, setting the balls. And you can see that I'm actually touching ball 8 there. I'm not moving it, but I'm touching it. That is okay under the rules. Under dot point 3, touching one's own ball while setting the balls. Simple as that. Sorry about that little mix-up though. Continuing along. Rightio. Next one is number 4, picking up another ball that was set while stepping on one's own ball and resetting the ball. Watch the video. Successful touch. Gain the right to spark. Set the ball under the foot. Decide, I'm not happy with that setting. Lifted it, reset it, and then conducted the spark and finished the actions on sparking by taking the foot off the stroker's ball. So effectively there, we've set the other ball, the touched other ball, and then after setting it, we were not satisfied, and we took it away and we set it again. That is perfectly fine under dot point 5 of the rules. Dot point 4, sorry. Dot point 5 is the stroker strikes his or her ball and the foot at the same time. So it's the stroker strikes his or her foot at the same time he or she strikes his or her ball. So let's see an example of that. Successful touch, gain the right to spark, pick up the ball, step on the ball, set ball 9, and you can see there, and it's more so the sound that we can hear here. You can hear there is contact between the foot and the ball, and it's key to remember that it's and the ball, because should we have hit only the foot, it would have been a sparking foul, and we'll discuss that a little bit later in this video. But we can see there that we hit the ball and the foot at the same time. Just like that. That's perfectly fine. And we're going to move on to number 6, which is the very last one, which is the stroker's ball moves underneath his or her foot. Just watch that there. Successful touch. Gain to spark. Gain the right to spark. Set the balls. Now that one might have been a little bit hard to see for you. We're going to look here. So note the position of ball 8 here, and then note the position of ball 8 after it. You see it's moved about quarter of an inch to our right. So the ball has moved, the stroker's ball has moved under the stroker's foot, but it has not come out from under the stroker's foot. It's still under the foot. That is okay, but there's a little bit of a catch when it comes to that one, and it's described under dot point 6 subsection point 1, which says that when the stroker's ball moves underneath his or her foot, which is what's happened here, and if this movement affects a play, such as the passing of a gate, finishing, or making a touch, the referee shall place the stroker's ball back in its original position. I personally have never seen this done in a game, but I do know that it has occurred on occasion. So should this exact scenario be occurring very close to a gate, say that ball 8 is for gate 3, and we are extremely near one of the legs of the gate, or the uprights of the gate, and we conduct a very heavy spark in which ball 8 moves 2 inches under our foot, but still under our foot, so it's still a legal play. And that movement of 2 inches causes the play state to change so that the passing of gate 3 becomes easier for ball 8, or even possible for ball 8 if the situation before meant that it was impossible for the ball to go through gate 3, but then because of its proximity to the gate, but then as a result of moving 2 inches under the foot legally, resulted in the gate being able to be made or being passed, the ball must be moved back to where it was, because it comes in direct conflict with this rule, because the movement of the ball affects play. We just need to remember that one. Bit rare, but we still need to remember it. Rightio. Dot point 3. After touching a number of balls, if the stroker's ball is in contact with a number of balls that it touched, so multiple touches, and the stroker's ball is in contact with multiple balls, the stroker in the following order temporarily move the balls that will be sparked second and thereafter. It's basically giving you the right to move a ball which you wish to move as a result of multiple touches, which have resulted in all the balls being in contact. You are permitted to remove some of those balls in order to conduct the spark legally. And I think this video here actually describes what happens in that situation. So we see ball 8 has touched ball 2 and ball 9, and they are all in contact. And when I say all in contact, I mean that ball 8 is in contact with ball 2 and 9. So we temporarily move ball 9. Now note, please, that a referee would most likely in most cases do this, but due to the current COVID-19 crisis, we try to cut down contact the best that we can. As you can see, I'm also wearing a mask in these videos, so I did it myself, but please note that a referee would most likely do it, although the player, I believe, is actually permitted to do as such. I would have to check the Q&A for that one, but I believe that they are also allowed to do it, but in all cases, I would probably recommend that the referee do as such. So we've moved ball 9 out of the way to a position where it will not affect play, and we now proceed to pick up ball 2. We step on our stroker's ball, we set ball 2, we remove our hand, we spark ball 2, remove our foot, completing the actions on sparking. Then we proceed to pick up ball 9, which we must also spark as we've completed a multiple touch there. And we proceed to setting ball 9, sparking ball 9, and finishing our actions on sparking before taking a continuous stroke with our stroker's ball, ball 8. Rightio, but there are a few conditions to that one, and it says, if touching 2 other balls, Pick up and temporarily move the ball to be sparked second at a location that will not impede the game. So that's exactly what we did there because it was 2 touched other balls. Ball 2 and ball 9, which were in contact with ball 8 as a result of a double touch. Or a touch which resulted in, a stroke which resulted in 2 touches, which resulted in all the balls being in contact. Geez, that sounds so much more complicated than it actually is. But anyway, moving right along. So that dot point there just describes exactly how it should be done, and it's what was on the video there. I haven't got a video for the next one, which is if touching 3 other balls. So ball 2, ball 9, and ball 10, for instance. So you've got 4 balls in contact there. I've never seen that, and I don't think in my life I will see it. It gives us a description of how to do that. It says, pick up and temporarily move the balls one at a time to a location that will not impede the game. Picking up both balls at the same time is also allowed. So it says that you should do the same procedure as the last one, but you're permitted to pick up multiple balls at once. Why is it important to mention that? Well, because this is the only exception to the rule, which we will explain later in the sparking fouls, that says you're not allowed to come into contact with multiple other balls at once. So this is just stating an exception to that rule. We will discuss it, but you need to know that there is an exception to that rule. Rightio. Clause 3 we're moving on to, which is completions of sparking. And number 1 says, a successful spark refers to the following. So we've been referring to a successful spark all this time. Let's talk about the 3 key points which determine if a spark was successful. Number 1, when the outer edge of the sparked other ball is 10 centimeters or more away from the outer edge of the stroker's ball. That one is extremely important. When we conduct a spark, the other ball must travel at least 10 centimeters away, outer edge to outer edge, from the stroker's ball. If not, it is a foul. Dot point 2. When the other sparked ball successfully finishes. So, should you be sparking a ball onto the goal pole? Remembering that when you set a ball, now in this case, the ball that we're setting, or the touched other ball, has successfully passed through the 3rd gate. So it's for the goal pole. When we're setting that ball under our foot in the process of setting the ball, it is not allowed to be in contact with the goal pole. As long as it's not in contact with the goal pole, when we spark the ball, and the other ball strikes the goal pole, resulting in an agari, that means that it is a successful spark. Now, that actually is also mentioned in the Q&A book, because should a successful agari occur and the ball, the touched other ball, bounces back and lands adjacent to our stroker's ball, even if it is 10 centimeters or more, less than 10 centimeters away from our stroker's ball, it is still considered a successful spark because of this exact rule, which says when the other spark ball successfully finishes. So the moment the ball finishes, even if it comes less than 10 centimeters closer to our ball, it is not considered a foul. And the very last one is when the other sparked ball becomes an out ball. And that's exactly the same thing there. If we're very close to the line, the inside line, and we spark a ball out of bounds, or out of the inner court and into the outer field, and it is less than 10 centimeters away, as long as our ball is an in ball, and the ball that we've just sparked, or the touched other ball that we've just sparked out of bounds, goes out of bounds, or out of the inner field, crosses the inner line and into the inner field, into the outer field. Even if it's less than 10 centimeters, even if it's less than 10 centimeters close to our stroker's ball, but out of the court, it is not a foul. I know those two little situations there might be a little bit complicated, but I urge you to read the Q&A book in relation to that, should you need any clarification there. But they're relatively straightforward. And we're going to move on to the largest section of today's topic, which is Clause 4, the sparking foul. Now, I've got lots of videos for these ones, so hopefully you guys are entertained. Rightio. Dot point 1. Any of the following plays by a stroker will be regarded as a sparking foul. Right, so number 1. After picking up a touched ball and before the spark, the stroker's ball or another ball is directly moved by the touch ball. So we're just going to go to that one here and we're going to watch the video and then we're going to explain it. Successful touch. And you see what we've done there. We've, in conducting our actions on sparking, we have picked up the touched other ball. So we pick up the touched other ball and we accidentally drop the touched other ball and it moves the stroker's ball or any other ball. That is a sparking foul. Moving on. Number 2 is if the stroker's ball moves away from under the stroker's foot. This one can happen in a variety of ways. The way that I'm doing it here, I'll just play the video and watch it. Look. Successful touch. Set the balls. And we go to spark. And both the balls, the stroker's ball comes out from under the stroker's foot. That is a sparking foul. The other way that this one can happen is if we are stepping on the stroker's ball. So we have not set the balls yet, but we're stepping on the stroker's ball. And the stroker's ball comes out from under the stroker's foot. That also comes under this sparking foul. And they are both sparking fouls. This is just one example of that. Number 3, if the stroker hits his or her ball without moving the hand away from the set other ball. Successful touch. Pick up the touched other ball. So we're setting the balls, and you can see the hands are still in contact there with the touched other ball. And when we conduct the spark, the hands did not move out of the way. So that's in direct conflict with this rule, which is if the stroker hits his or her ball without moving the hand away from the set other ball. That is a sparking foul, sorry. Radio, turning the page. Up to number 4, which is if the stroker strokes his foot only. So if the stroker hits only the foot. Example of that one here. Successful touch. Start the actions on sparking. Set the balls. You can see we've only hit the foot. That's very different from the situation which we described earlier, which was, well, we accidentally hit some of the foot, but we also hit the ball, and we completed a successful spark. This is only hitting the foot. That is a sparking foul. Now, similarly, you might have also noticed that the balls did not move more than 10 centimeters. So a successful, 10 centimeters apart. So a successful spark has also not been completed. You picked up on that one. We're going to move on to number 5, and it says, if, following a spark, the outer edge of the sparked ball stops without moving at least 10 centimeters away from the outer edge of the stroker's ball, and the sparked other ball and the stroker's ball stop as in balls. That's very important, in balls. Remember, if you do this exact maneuver and the touched other ball becomes an out ball, this sparking foul does not occur. But it's essentially what's just happened here, but we'll describe it just here. So you can see here, obviously it's a little bit hard to see without a measure gauge, but the balls did not travel more than 10 centimeters apart after the spark. So therefore, that is a sparking foul under rule number 5. Righty-o. Next one is number 6. Following a successful spark, if the other sparked ball hits a gate or the goal pole and returns to stop in contact with the stroker's ball as an in ball. This one's a little bit hard to film, and I'll tell you it took me a lot of attempts to do it, and I've never seen it happen in a real game, but I will play the video and then I'll describe it step by step. Sorry, I've just realized that I need to make mention of the fact that in this case, ball 9 has not successfully passed through the third gate. So it is not for the goal pole. Rightio, what happened there? Well, we made a successful touch on ball 9. We picked up ball 9. We placed it under our foot, setting the ball, and we attempt a spark. Ball 9 then strikes the goal pole and comes back towards ball 8 and stops in contact with ball 8. So we moved our foot away and we can see that the two balls are actually in contact at the end of that stroke there. They have stopped in contact. That is a sparking foul under Rule 6 of that dot point. Moving on to number 7. If, after touching several balls and picking up the first touched other ball, the order of the spark is changed. So this is relation to the fact that when we make multiple touches, we have to complete sparks with each of those balls. But the minute we pick up one of those balls, we must spark it in that order. So let's play the video. Ball 8 plays. Successful touch on 9 and 2. We pick up ball 2 to spark, but we decide, no, I don't want to spark ball 2 now. I want to spark ball 9. The minute we touch ball 9, we've committed a sparking foul under rule number 7 because we have changed the sparking order. Simple as that. Moving on. Ball 8. If the stroker comes into contact with several touched other balls simultaneously, other than when the stroker stops in contact with 3 or more touched other balls, and the balls to be sparked after the first touch ball are temporarily moved. Does that ring a bell? Remember how I talked about the fact that when we're in contact with 3 or more other balls, and we're allowed to temporarily move them, this is in contact after a successful touch, and we're allowed to temporarily move them, we're allowed to be in contact with more than one of them at a time? That was the exception. This is the situation in which it is not an exception, because we are not in contact with 3 or more balls. Remember, it's not an exception because we are not in contact with 3 or more touched other balls. Right, so we'll play the video and then we'll describe it. Ball 8 strokes his ball and makes a successful touch on ball 9 and 2. And we've made a mistake there. So everything up until that point was correct. But what did we do? Well, we picked up ball 9 as the regular actions on sparking, as we're permitted to pick up ball 9 or ball 2 in this situation, as we made a successful touch with both. In picking up ball 9, we've done nothing wrong until we accidentally step on ball 2. Ball 2 is not the stroker's ball. Ball 8 is. That's this ball over here. We've stepped on ball 2. So we have violated rule number 8, which is the fact that the stroker has come into contact with several touched other balls simultaneously. So the first ball we're in contact with is ball 9 because it's in our left hand, and the second touched other ball we've come into contact with is ball 2, which is under the stroker's foot. That is in direct violation of rule 8. Rightio. Moving on to the next one, which is number 9, and it says, if the stroker's own ball is in contact with the touched other ball, and the stroker comes into contact with yet another touched ball, with yet another ball. This one really hurts my brain, to tell you honestly, and I don't know when on earth this would possibly happen, but let's just watch the video first, as this one even confused me at first. So let's just watch the video first, and I'll describe exactly what's happened. Successful touch on 2 and 9. And then we've picked up ball 2 there. Can anyone see what's wrong? So I'll just reread the rule. And it says, if the stroker's own ball is in contact with the touched other ball, and the stroker comes into contact with yet another touched other ball. Let's watch it again. And that's where the problem came to be. So we've made a successful touch on ball 9 and ball 2. But it's very hard to see in this video, obviously, but ball 9 and ball 8 are in contact. Ball 8 and ball 2 are not in contact. Ball 8 and ball 9 are in contact. Ball 9 and ball 2 are touched other balls. And under this rule, you must spark the ball that is in contact with the stroker's ball first. This is the only exception to the rule, which states that if you make multiple touches in one stroke, you are permitted to spark the balls in any order. Well, this is the one situation in which you are not permitted to spark the balls in any order. You must spark ball 9 first before you can spark ball 2. So, the moment we come into contact with ball 2, we have committed a sparking foul under rule number 9, which is that we, the stroker, if the stroker's own ball, which is in contact with another ball, and the stroker come into contact with yet another touched ball. In this case, the ball's in contact of ball 8 and 9, and the touched other ball is ball 2. So the minute we touch ball 2, we have committed a sparking foul under sparking foul number 9. And we're on to the very last one, lucky last, number 10. And number 10 is right up and close to the line. And if you remember, when we set balls, when we're going to spark them, the set other ball must be set so that it is in or on the inner field. Remembering that, Rule 10 says, if the stroker hits his or her ball with the touched other ball placed in the outside field. So let's see what that is. Very simple. Successful touch on ball 9. Ball 9 is set outside the inner field. Ball 9 is set outside the inner field. This is a sparking foul should the spark be conducted. That is a sparking foul under sparking foul number 10. Simple as that. Rightio, moving on from there, we need to discuss what happens in each one of these situations and how we need to apply the correct penalty for each of the sparking fouls. Rightio, dot point number 2 says, the following shall apply to a sparking foul depending on the situation and time, except for the other successfully sparked ball. Number 1. If a sparking foul occurs after all the in balls have stopped moving and before they are set. So before the balls are set and after the touched balls have stopped moving, the following occurs. It's in 3 steps. Number 1, a ball that has moved as a result of a sparking foul is returned to the position it was before it moved. Step number 2, the touched other ball is returned to the position where it stopped after the touch. Step number 3, the stroker's ball becomes an out ball from the position where it stopped after the touch. Simple as that. Number 2, and now that I'm saying number 2, it's very important to note that there are certain stroking fouls which are penalized with the sparking foul number 2. And you'll remember those from the article video relating to stroking. So this is that section which I say that I would mention, or the penalty that I would mention in a future video. And it states, if a sparking foul takes place after the balls are set and before a successful spark. So we've set the balls, but the successful spark has not occurred, or before the successful spark occurs. And it's in 3 steps again, and it says, a ball that is removed as a result of the sparking foul is returned to the position it was before it moved. Step number 2, the set other ball shall be the set other ball shall be in the position it was when it was set. So in other words, under the stroker's foot. Number 3, the stroker's ball becomes an out ball from the position it stopped after the touch. Very important to note that positioning there. Number 3, if a sparking foul takes place after a successful spark, so completed a successful spark, and before the foot is moved away from the stroker's ball. We haven't lifted our foot off the stroker's ball yet. There are 2 steps. A ball that is moved as a result of the sparking foul is returned to the position it was before it moved. And number 2 is the stroker's ball becomes an out ball from the position where it stopped after a touch. Simple as that. Number 4, second last. Following a successful spark, if the sparked ball hits a gate or the goal pole and returns to stop in contact with the stroker's ball as in balls. You remember this was that situation that I described or showed the video of very close to the goal pole. So this is a specific penalty for just that sparking foul, and it's in 2 steps, and it says, the sparked ball shall be placed where it stopped in contact with the stroker's ball after the spark. So in other words, where it ended up after it bounced off the goal pole or the gate leg, and then came to rest in contact with the stroker's ball. So it gets placed back there. Number 2 is the stroker's ball becomes an out ball from the position it stopped in contact with the sparked ball after the spark. It just becomes an out ball to the closest inside line, that is. Lucky last, number 5, and to close off the video, it is if the stroker hits his or her ball with the touched other ball placed in the outer field. So exactly this video that we've just seen just here. There are 3 steps to follow. A ball that is moved as a result of a sparking foul is returned to the position it was before it moved. The touched other ball is returned to the position the position where it stopped after the touch. So the touched other ball is returned to the position where it stopped after the touch. And number 3, the stroker's ball becomes an out ball from the position where it stopped after the touch. Can you pick up on anything going on between these 5 situations here? There's one very important key fact, and that in every single one of these situations, unlike stroking fouls, in every single one of these situations, the stroker's ball becomes an out ball. There's a little bit of variance depending on where the other balls get placed in relation to when it occurred, but in every single situation in which a sparking foul occurs, the stroker's ball becomes an out ball. And that's incredibly important to remember, because if a stroking foul occurs, you know in your mind, okay, ding, my mind rings, and the stroker's ball is automatically becoming an out ball. So that's just one less thing you have to remember when you're refereeing. You just need to know the fact of where the other balls have to be placed. And I'll let you go through each one of those rules slowly in your own time, and I really strongly encourage you to read them several times because they are quite complicated in all honesty. Well, that's a really long video today, and I hope you stayed through all the way to the end. But that is Article 16, which is Spark. Hope to see you on a court sometime soon. Keep up the study and good work through the Q&A book, and let's play ball.